Bonjour, my name is Jacques Fauteux. I'm the Assistant Chief Statistician for Strategic Engagement at Statistics Canada. Thank you for taking part in this technical briefing on the census of 2021. Ce briefing technique de cet après-midi se fera en deux parties. Lors de la première partie, mes collègues vous offriront leurs différentes perspectives sur le recensement de 2021. The second part will be a question and answer session moderated by our operator, Grace. I'd like to first introduce you to our presenters today. The first person who will speak is Stéphane Dufour, le statisticien en chef adjoint du secteur du recensement des services régionaux et des opérations. Stéphane sera suivi de Lynn Barr-Telford, the Assistant Chief Statistician for Social, Health and Labor Statistics. And Geoff Bowlby, Director General of the 2021 Census, will conclude this technical briefing, which will then be followed by a Q&A. The Q&A will be moderated, as I said, by Grace. Without any further ado, I will cede the floor to Stéphane Dufour.
Merci, Jacques. Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs. I am glad to report that we are ready for the 2021 census, a safe and contact-free census which will help Canadians get a detailed picture of their respective communities, as well as an understanding of the impact of the pandemic. As many of you know, federal and provincial governments use local-level census population, age, income, and housing data to determine who's most vulnerable to the current health and economic crisis. Vaccine allocations have also been conducted on a per capita basis based on census data. Les données du recensement sont utilisées quotidiennement par tous les ordres de gouvernement, les entreprises et les particuliers pour prendre des décisions importantes comme la planification des services communautaires, par exemple pour les écoles et services d'urgence, pour la détermination de la demande des consommateurs et du marché et pour l'achat d'une maison. Le recensement est la principale source de données socio-économiques pour certains groupes de population, par exemple les Premières Nations, les Métis et les Inuits, les immigrants, mais aussi les groupes linguistiques, ainsi que pour des niveaux géographiques détaillés. Statistics Canada is ready to conduct a safe census that will enable Canadians to tell their story and provide vital information that contributes to the strength of our country and our communities. In the context of the pandemic, we have redesigned the census approach over the past few months to ensure that all Canadians and our employees remain safe while participating in this vital national exercise. Statistics Canada is striving for a contact-free approach. Every reasonable attempt will be made to collect information without coming into contact with respondents. Le moyen le plus sécuritaire de répondre au recensement sera de remplir un questionnaire en ligne ou sur papier ou par téléphone. Les visites en personne n'auront lieu que lorsqu'aucune autre option, c'est-à-dire en ligne ou par téléphone ou par le papier, n'est possible. En outre, la collecte par autodéclaration sera faite pour la première fois en 2021 dans les collectivités éloignées du Nord et des Premières Nations. Les agents recenseurs seront d'abord embauchés localement, puis des collectivités voisines au besoin et de concert avec ces collectivités afin de minimiser les risques. The 2016 census was an outstanding success. Thanks to the overwhelming support of Canadians, a best-ever response rate of over 98% was achieved. Almost 9 in 10 households completed the census without assistance from a census enumerator. And over 68% of Canadians completed then their questionnaire online. With the continued support of Canadians, we're aiming to do even better in 21. S'il n'est pas possible d'obtenir des renseignements du recensement en ligne ou par téléphone, un employé du recensement peut, en dernier recours, se rendre au logement des résidents afin d'offrir de l'aide pour remplir le questionnaire du recensement. In such cases, a new no-contact protocol will be followed. Under this protocol, no interviews will be conducted inside the respondent's dwelling. These interviews will instead be physically distanced, and the census employees will be required to wear a mask in accordance with guidelines from public health authorities. Finally, no census employee from Statistics Canada will be permitted to visit or enter institutional collective dwellings, especially dwellings like nursing homes and hospitals that house residents who are most vulnerable to COVID-19. The safety of respondents and census staff are of paramount importance to Statistics Canada. Merci. Thank you.
Monsieur Fauteux, il semble que vous soyez sur sourdine.
Thank you, Stéphane. Now we'll ask Lynn Barr-Telford to give an overview of the contents of the census, what new questions have been added, what questions have changed for the 2021 census.
Thank you, Jacques, and welcome everyone this afternoon. This is certainly an exciting time for all of us data fans. The 2021 census continues a long tradition of providing Canadians with data that are key to understanding our country, our people, and our changing landscape. It's also the largest disaggregated data collection that is conducted by Statistics Canada. It enables Canadians to understand how our country is evolving in order to respond to changes and diverse needs. Et c'est particulièrement essentiel dans le contexte de la pandémie. Decisions on the 2021 census content have been made in collaboration with Canadians and for Canadians. Statistics Canada conducted countrywide engagements as well as a census test with over 135,000 households to ensure that the 2021 census will provide Canadians with the detailed information they need to make important decisions. We are grateful for the feedback that we received. I want to highlight some of the more important resultant changes made for the 2021 census, including new questions. Throughout our engagements, we heard that some Canadians couldn't see themselves in the 2016 census, specifically around the question related to sex. Depuis ce temps, la protection de l'expression de genre et de l'identité de genre a été intégrée à la loi canadienne sur les droits de la personne et au Code criminel du Canada dans le projet de loi 35. To fill the gap of measuring gender identity and non-binary population, the 2021 census includes a question on gender in recognition of the gender diversity of our population. We've also included a question on veterans and military service. The federal government spends over $4 billion annually in payments to veterans, their families, and other program recipients. Yet there exists no complete listing of Canadian Armed Force veterans to ensure that these dollars are targeted to those who are eligible. Such comprehensive data can provide meaningful insights to a broad number of policies, programs, and evaluation issues affecting our veterans. Statistics Canada will work collectively with Veterans Affairs Canada following the 2021 census to ensure the list is kept up to date using administrative sources. Nous avons également ajouté des questions sur les ayants droit dans le questionnaire abrégé du recensement. Il est important d'avoir des renseignements de qualité sur les ayants droit de langue officielle et situation minoritaire au Canada pour assurer la vitalité des communautés de langue officielle. L'ajout de questions sur l'éducation dans la langue officielle minoritaire au niveau primaire et secondaire permettra de déterminer le nombre d'enfants des parents ayant droit en vertu des 3 critères mentionnés à l'article 23 de la Charte canadienne des droits et libertés, soit la langue nationale du parent, la langue de scolarisation du parent et la langue de scolarisation des frères et sœurs. Les nouvelles questions combinées à la question existante sur la langue maternelle et l'information sur les relations entre les membres d'un même ménage permettront de mesurer le nombre d'enfants ayant droit et ainsi d'appuyer les programmes d'enseignement en français et en anglais dans les diverses régions du Canada. To ensure that Indigenous governments and organizations have the necessary information to serve their citizens and members, updated terminology has been incorporated for the Indigenous group questions, which better aligns with a distinctions-based approach while allowing continuity for data user. A new question has been included to collect information on whether respondents are registered members of a Métis organization or settlement. Filling this information gap will help support policies and programs for Canada and for Métis individuals and organizations. And given that Canada has obligations to Inuit under land claims agreements, and data are needed to support decision-making in Inuit organizations, the 2021 census includes a question on enrollment under an Inuit lands claim agreement. With a growing digital economy and structural changes in our economy, the labor market is changing. More Canadians are in precarious work arrangements and are working longer hours. Two new questions, the main reason for working part-time and the main reason for not working a full year, will shed light on these changes, especially among vulnerable populations. Given Canadians' concerns and Canada's commitments related to the environment, and the fact that transportation has a key impact on the environment, understanding changes in the distance and modes of commuting to work is more important than ever. Le recensement de 2021 prendra compte de tous les modes de navettage. Ces données sont non seulement importantes pour mieux comprendre les impacts sur l'environnement, mais elles seront utilisées par les administrations locales pour prévoir leur infrastructure de transport. Those of you who have been following the census for several years will know that every census ending in a 1, that is 2021, includes a question on religion. This information is key to fully understanding an increasingly diverse population. And finally, improvements to the ethnic origin questions will allow Canadians to more easily self-identify, and having robust information on population groups within Canada is critical to ensuring equity, diversity, and inclusion. Whether in the workforce or other societal spheres, data are needed for achieving a more equitable Canada. The growth of the immigrant population and changes in source countries of immigration over time have led to greater diversification of the Canadian population's ethnocultural characteristics. The revised ethnic origin question will allow respondents to report their origins free of the influence of examples directly on the questionnaire. This will yield more representative results and better reflect Canada's growing diversity. Les Canadiens disposeront d'une liste d'exemples bien plus complète et diversifiée séparément du questionnaire pour tous déclarer leur origine ethnique et culturelle. Canada's censuses succeed because Canadians participate. The 2021 census will provide more accurate information, including disaggregated data that governments, businesses, communities, and each one of us, individual Canadians, can trust to make important decisions. This will be an inclusive census, one in which Canadians will truly be able to see themselves. Thank you, Jacques.
Merci, Lynn. I will now ask Geoff Bowlby, our Director General responsible for the census program, to provide an update on recruitment and collection, and also the key dates for the public to note.
Thank you, Jacques. As indicated, we are ready to conduct a safe and contact-free census to enable Canadians to achieve as high, if not higher, return rate as 2016. On May 3rd, households from coast to coast to coast will receive a yellow envelope from Statistics Canada. It will provide a code to complete the census safely and securely by using the electronic questionnaire online. We encourage households to complete the census online. It's a safe way to provide timely and accurate information. For those who prefer to complete a paper form, that's also very much a possibility. Nearly 9 in 10 households completed the census either online or on paper in 2016. We're hoping to continue that trend in 2021. In 2021, 3 households in 4 will receive the short form. Census Day is May 11th. That means that we are asking households to respond to the questions to reflect the state of the household on that date. We are often asked, what's the deadline to complete the census? Well, there isn't a firm date. Canadians will provide us with the best and most accurate information by responding as soon as possible. We'll begin follow-up during the week of May 13th. I can assure you that we will take all possible precaution to protect confidential information received from respondents, including a secure login process and the use of strong encryption technologies. Data submitted to our web servers are encrypted before being stored and remain encrypted until they are transferred to the isolated internal network. Households will receive their secure access code on May 3rd. We're striving for contact census that emphasize safety so that we encourage self-response either online or on paper. Completing the census questionnaire takes a few minutes of people's time, and it has a big impact on local communities and our country. With the participation of Canadians, this information will prove to be key to the establishment of businesses, schools, medical facilities, and a number of programs and initiatives that contribute to the strength and health of our country and communities. Finally, I should point out that such an endeavor cannot be done without people. As many of you know, our census team grew by almost 32,000 positions to help us conduct this important activity. Recruitment for Census 2021 has commenced weeks ago and is going well. We are confident that we have the people we need to get the job done across the country to help us run a safe and contact-free census. We will continue to hire right up to the start of collection in early May, and there are still opportunities in many communities across Canada. Students and others who have considered applying but who have not yet done so are welcome to apply on the census website at www.census.gc.ca ou encore www.recensement.gc.ca.
Merci, Geoff. On va prendre maintenant votre question. We will now take your questions with the help of Grace. So I will pass the mic to Grace, who will now moderate.
Thank you. Merci. Please press star 1 at this time if you have a question. S'il vous plaît, appuyez sur étoile 1 maintenant pour poser une question. Please note you can ask one question and one follow-up. S'il vous plaît, notez que vous pouvez poser une question et une question suivie. There will be a brief pause while the participants register for questions. Il y aura un court délai vous permettant de vous enregistrer dans la file d'attente pour la période de questions. Thank you for your patience. Merci de patienter. The first question is from, la première question est de Teresa Wright, the Canadian Press. Please go ahead. À vous la parole.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for providing this briefing. My question, I'm not sure who would be best placed to answer, but it's my understanding that when it comes to First Nations and other Indigenous or remote communities, that you're doing something different this time around, hiring local people to do some of the enumeration, and I was hoping that you could sort of elaborate on that.
I'm going to suggest my colleague Geoff Bowlby answers that because he's in charge of operations for the census.
Yes, I'm happy to answer that question. There's a number of things that we've done differently for Indigenous communities across the country. First of all, in previous cycles of the census, we would have run that enumeration early. We knew that the timing of having an early enumeration in the month of January and February would not work with the pandemic. So we've delayed the start of that to the core operational periods of May to July, give more time for us to prepare for changes as well to the operation in the north. More importantly, what we've done in the north is increase the accessibility of the website, allowing anyone living wherever there is an internet connection to respond online. Finally, as I think Stéphane mentioned, we are hiring locally because we know that we'll be unable to send folks from the south up to the north in order to conduct that enumeration. We are hiring locally in 2021. And we're looking to hire over 3,000 people in Indigenous communities and all across the north.
Thank you. And I'm just wondering if you could maybe talk about how you hope that hiring more locals in some of these communities could potentially, help collect greater data with perhaps people are more comfortable, talking to a local person, to a local enumerator, rather than someone who's coming from another jurisdiction.
Yes, that's absolutely true. We do believe that there'll be more trust within the community using folks who are hired from within that community. But we simply know that it's not possible to move people around from community to community or from the south to the north, given the state of the pandemic. So that's the main driver for hiring locally. In order to hire locally, by the way, we have greatly increased the rate of pay for the staff working in the north. So we'll be paying at a rate that is competitive with the statistical agencies and their activities in the Northwest Territories and Yukon. I hope I've answered your question.
Once again, please press star 1 at this time if you have a question. N'hésitez pas, s'il vous plaît, à appuyer sur étoile 1 maintenant pour poser une question. The next question is from. La prochaine question est de Tammy Bergeron-Olivier de CTV News. Please go ahead. À vous la parole.
Hi there. I believe if my numbers are right, in 2016, about 35 million people filled out the census, and that was about a 5% increase from previous years. I'm wondering if you have an estimate of sort of how many people you would like to see do it this year, and what you've done to try to increase the number of people who are going to fill out the census this time.
How about we start with Stéphane Dufour, who is our Assistant Chief Statistician responsible for the census.
Good afternoon. Thank you for your question. I would say, first of all, we will enumerate all Canadians, and we probably have some projection in mind, but we're quite confident that with a full enumeration, we will basically be able to answer your question with a high level of precision. If you look at our website, you will see that we have demographic estimates that we maintain intercensally. And you will see, I believe, that we're in the neighborhood of 38 million right now. So if that answers your question, that's a projection I think that you will see on our site. But I would like to hear from my colleague, Lynn Barr-Telford, who's responsible for the demographic area. And actually, at the end of the day, I mean, we're quite confident that with all these efforts, we'll be able to give you a high level of precision and answer your question in less than a year from now. Lynn?
Thank you, Stéphane, and thank you for the question. As always with the census, our goal is to enumerate all Canadians. And as you have noted, our 2016 census was incredibly successful with a 98% response rate. And our goal and our intention is to do at least as well in the 2021 census. And there are a number of different ways in which we intend to achieve that. One of those, as my colleagues have said, is that there are multiple ways to do the census in the safety of one's own home. One can go online, one can fill the census in on paper, or one can also do it by telephone. But we really highly recommend the online version, and that will help us to achieve a very high and very strong response rate for the Canadian census. And for all Canadians, this is really important. The more we have in terms of response, the better the information that we have for all of us. And we all rely on this information for making important decisions. So the short answer is our goal is to enumerate all Canadians and to have a census in 2021 that is at least as successful as in 2016, if not more so.
Thank you. And my follow-up is about the pandemic. Obviously, that has affected every single Canadian, and 2020 was a major life-changing year. I'm wondering if the 2021 census will include anything specifically asking about the COVID-19 pandemic? And if not, why? And if so, why did you decide to include it?
Lynn will be your best person to answer the content question.
Thank you for that question. The 2021 census is a really key census, as they all are, particularly now. I think we can all agree that in the context of a pandemic, now perhaps more than ever, we need really high quality data. And while the census content was determined long before the pandemic, the content that does exist on the census will be quite useful to all of us. If you think about the fact that census is May 11th, much of the information that we collect at that time will really help us to have an accurate portrait of what's happening in Canada during the census reference period. And that will be key as we as a country look to recover from the pandemic and to continue to understand the implications of COVID-19 on vulnerable populations within this country. Even the 2016 census has been so fundamental to the preparations and understanding where marginalized populations live in this country, crucial to some of the vaccine rollouts, for example. So it all speaks to the importance of the content of the 2021 census. We talked about the fact that the pandemic has not been equal. I like to say it's been unprecedented, it's been uneven, and it's been unequal. And the biggest, most comprehensive source of disaggregated information for Canada is the census of population.
Thank you. Merci. Once again, please press star 1 if you have a question. De nouveau, n'hésitez pas à appuyer sur étoile 1 pour poser une question. The next question is from, la prochaine question est de Michael Robar from the Guardian with Southwind. Please go ahead, à vous la parole.
Hello. I suppose my first question is, given the big push for having as many people as possible complete this census online, what would success look like? What percentage or number of Canadians would you like to see complete this online?
Thank you very much for your question. I will start with Geoff, and maybe Stéphane can follow up if he has any other additional information.
It's a great question, and thank you for the opportunity to respond to it. We hope that at least 8 in 10 Canadians respond to the census online. That would be a bit of a world record. In 2016, we had 68% of the population respond online, and we're shooting now for 80% or higher. Canadians love their internet. They love to respond to the census via internet, and we hope that we can beat out other countries as we did in 2016 with the highest ever online response to a census.
Stéphane, anything else to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, I totally agree, and thank you for the question. Also, I want to remind everyone that last time we had almost 9 Canadians out of 10 who completed their census returns without the help of a census enumerator. So this time around, if you remember, we mentioned in our intro that we will offer the online response for the first time ever to all communities in Canada. So we're quite confident that we will reach the 8 out of 10 with the participation of all Canadians and their support.
Is there a supplemental?
Yes, sorry, I was just taking my phone off mute. I just wonder, given... I was wondering how recruitment has been going compared to previous years. I know you mentioned that you were confident that you would reach the goal, but I wonder at this point, how many do you have? How many do you still need? Do you have that information available?
I tried to deal with a dog. I do apologize, barking in the background, but I will suggest, Geoff, do you want to take that?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, our recruitment campaign, which began in January, has been very successful from our perspective. As we said earlier, we need about 32,000 enumerators and their supervisors, and we've received to date almost 170,000 applications for those positions. So we're receiving lots of applications from all across the country. That doesn't mean that in every community in the country, we do need to hire in every community, that we have the right number of applications in the right spots. And it's inviting folks to apply, especially if you live in a rural or remote community. That's where we need. That's where we're seeing some gaps at the moment. But like I said earlier, we're going to be receiving and hiring right up to the start of collection in May.
Thank you.
Thank you. Merci. There are no further questions registered at this time. Nous n'avons plus de questions pour le moment. I would now like to turn the meeting back over to Mr. Fauteux. J'aimerais maintenant retourner la parole à Monsieur Fauteux.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you to all who attended this session. Nous espérons vous avoir fourni les réponses à la plupart de vos questions. If you need more information, please don't hesitate to call our media hotline, which many of you already have contacted in the past. Encore une fois, merci de votre intérêt pour le recensement de 2021 et à la prochaine.
Thank you. Merci. The conference has now ended.